If you don't perform in the NFL, you get fired. That's what happened.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to all my day ones. Let's get it and welcome. If this is your first time here, my mission is to welcome you in this family by the end of this video. Now, in this series, it's 30-minute sessions. All my returning viewers, they already know. It's when I bring on a Giants fan and we just talk some good Giants football. Now, obviously, the Giants hasn't been playing good football, but it's okay. We're gonna get like a deep dive in this episode. Me and Adam, which is the special guest for this episode, we cover a lot of things that it had to become a two-part episode. So basically, episode 7 is gonna, and I'll probably just say episode 7 and episode 8 is both gonna be with Adam, 2 parts. So you guys are gonna get a lot of content here. This was pre-recorded yesterday, so that's okay. But it's still fire. It's still stuff that I had to put out, and obviously I couldn't put it out yesterday because I don't know why, but anyhow, it's gonna be out today, so that's what matters. And also, we had the fights this weekend coming up. That's gonna be exciting. Make sure you guys tune in for that. But I think that's all the announcements for now. So without further ado, let's get into the video. And thank you so much again. Let's get it. So, Adams, where do we start, bro? I don't know. I thought we was gonna at least do something. I thought we was going to at least do something against Miami. I get it. It was Mike Glennon. I get it. We were short a lot of rippings, and I'm not trying to focus on the Miami game, but I never gave a reaction on my channel about the Miami game. And I was kind of pissed off in a sense. Like, our defense played pretty good, but at the end of the day, it's like I was so pissed off at Joe Judge after that game because I just feel, again, there's so much unnecessary calls and wasted timeouts. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know, man. It's been so up and down. Like, as Giants fans this year, like, we'll win the game and then we'll look at, oh, we're in the hunt, and then we'll lose the game, and then they'll be like, let's plan for next year. But I think this Miami loss for me really sealed it and really made me say, man, this season's over, and really made me think, like, is Joe Judge really a person that I want to keep around? So I just wanted to get your takes on that. I'm going to let you have the mic and own the mic and let these people know what you feel.
First off, Joe Judge, thank you for having me. That's first and foremost, for having me on this stream, this podcast. But the Miami game, the reason the Miami game is such a telling game is because so much happened, right? So much went wrong on the offense. And the defense, everyone's like, oh, it was a great performance. But in the most crucial time, they let the team drive down the field and score a touchdown. So I know that people want to say the defense is good. This defense, and I'll reference something because it's been on my chest. This defense is okay. It's good. It's not great. And we need a great defense. Because remember what I said a few weeks ago. Hope somebody's listening, because this is what I said a few weeks ago. The Raider game, when McKinney had that interception, I said you can't rely on the defense to give you 7 points every week or turnovers every week. Guess what Logan Ryan said? He said, well, we didn't get a turnover, so we didn't help the offense out. So they didn't get a turnover, and guess what? The Giants didn't have an extra possession that they could have scored a touchdown on. Right? In that Raider game that everyone told me was such a great game plan, even the Giant announcers and podcast people were like, that was not a great game plan. If you take away that interception from McKinney, the Giants probably lose that game. And they probably lose the game to Philadelphia a week ago if Rager catches that touchdown. So I think what the Giants have done is a lot of fool's gold. And the reason I say that is because the crappiness of the NFC. Because if you go to the NFL.com, which I was on, there's like, I don't know, a majority of the teams, I would say 13 teams with 6 wins. Right? And then 3 teams with under 6 wins, right? So Miami is like the last team on that team with 6 wins. Everybody has 6 wins or up if you go down the conference. And then it's like the Jets, Jaguars, and Texans who don't. If you go to the NFC side, there's like 5 or 6 teams that are in the hunt with 5 or 6 wins. And that's like from the 6th seed on down, right? The Washington Redskins on down to the Giants, and the last 3 teams in the NFC are about all have all about 4 wins, except for the Lions. Right?
Real fast, it's so talented in the AFC that if Buffalo loses a game next week, they're knocked out of the playoff picture.
That
Like
is
completely
insane.
knocked out of the playoff picture.
That's insane.
Obviously, there's more weeks to come, but that's insane.
And this is why I'm saying, like, LA Chargers are going to be fighting this week for their playoff lives. Okay,
Yeah.
We're starting to get into the nitty gritty. And just to get back to the Joe Judge point, the thing that I'm tired of hearing about Joe Judge is the positivity of shit. Be specific. Say, hey, listen, I love the way that Tony played, or I love the way that Ross played, or we could have done better here, better there. No, you know what you say? Oh, well, I see some positives, blah, 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 because you don't want to throw people under the bus. And you don't have to, even Bob Papa and Carl Banks, who people like to reference, said the same thing. Don't just give us that, oh, well, it's positive. Give us something more. You can say, listen, we play like crap. I coach like crap. We need to do better. We need to look at the fundamentals. Yeah, you're not necessarily throwing anybody under the bus, but at the same time, you got to address that there are no positives coming out of this game. Okay, I don't want to hear positives, right? You didn't win. That's not positive. Positives aren't winning, and especially when this team, and somebody else said it, and I hate to keep referencing other podcasts I listen to, but that's what I do. I listen to podcasts throughout my day, and one of them said, you can't judge progress in a loss. You know what I mean? This is not a losing team. They were geared up to win. They brought in a receiver to help their quarterback. They brought in a defensive player to help their quarterback. They brought in a running back. They drafted a receiver. Right? I know people are saying to the O-line, hey, that's on Joe Judge. That's on Dave Gettleman. They said that those guys they had in-house were going to be fine. We got this. Don't worry about it. So I know people bang the table for offensive line, and they don't like this answer, but that's the answer that they gave. And guess what? That is a fireable offense. They made a calculated choice going in. They rolled the dice and they bet on black, and it came up red. Okay, so they lost all their money. And here we are sitting here. What is the root cause of the problem? It's mostly the red zone offense, because if you watch that game film, and a lot of people do all 22 breakdowns and things like that you can listen to, and I can give you some of the podcasts to listen to on this stream if you want to, but that's for another day. They're saying that Glennon had time to throw the football. So if he had time to throw the football, then who's it on when the football's not delivered? It's on the coaches, and it's on Mike Glennon. So you can't always blame the offensive line, because it's easy answer to say. When they do their job, you have to acknowledge that they did their job. Whether it's one player, 2 or 3 or 10, you have to acknowledge it. You can't just say, well, blah, 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 because that's not how this works. Okay, it takes 3 plays in a game to win it. You can have 3 1-yard catch touchdowns. That's it. You can have a quarterback like Mac Jones who throw over 3 times, they win a football game.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to cover too, because you look at a team like the Patriots that go out there, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there was like 40-mile-per-hour winds. Bill Belichick had a game plan to keep it on the ground. He's seen an early ball from Mac Jones that kind of wobbled a bit. It looked like the wind kind of was affected by the wind. And I don't know if it was a planned game plan, or I don't know if he just implemented it because of the wind. But that's a coach that has obviously one of the greatest, if not the greatest coaches to ever coach in the game. And that's a coach, when he gets on a pedestal and says, we're going to run it 50 times a game, literally runs it 50 times a game. When Joe Judge first had that first press conference and he said all of this stuff about the team, and I get it. Sometimes the players don't react to what you want them to react at, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to get them to fight for you, just like Campbell is doing with Detroit. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. We're playing with some kind of heart now, but there's still some plays where we just look defeated. You know what I'm saying? And we just look like we give up. And Nate Soldier just looks like he lost the mental from week 1. Like he's just in there because they put him in there, and he knows that he lost the game. But I just feel like there's no motivation to get better as a team. And even if there is, we just get hit with all these injuries, and then we can't overcome it. And every time we overcome it, we just get hit with another one. And it's nobody's particular fault. But if you have to look at it, it's, it goes all the way up to the GM. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, people say it goes up to Mara. I get that. But this is a problem we're on a third rebuild in the past 10 years. And at this point, I could give a shit what happens to anybody on this team. Like, I love Workley. He's my favorite player on this team. I want to keep him around. But at this point, it's like I don't want to say lost as a Giants fan, and I don't want to be negative, but I really give a fuck what happens here. You know what I'm saying? If Judge gets fired, if Gettleman gets fired, if Daniel Jones is not the starter next year, like I was so optimistic about let's bring in O-line, and I still want to bring in O-line, and I still want to fix the lines. But at this point, it's all like, bro, I don't even know, bro, because if Gettleman's not here next year, which most likely he's not, we're never gonna know until GM comes in and evaluates the team for himself and really know. Like, I don't know, man. Like, good teams don't fire coaches every 2 years, but guess what? We're not a good team right now. We've been not a good team for 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is this: if a coach comes by and is available, let's say hypothetically speaking, Sean Payton is available, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he will be. Don't know if he will be. Don't think he wants to leave the Saints. That's a story for another day. But if he becomes available and you bring in a new GM because the new GM has to come here because I'm tired of everyone trying to save Gettleman's face and he's old and he was sick. Well, if he was too sick to do the job, don't do the job. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't do the job. Okay, because if you took a job on and you were diagnosed with something, look at Ron Rivera. He had cancer, fought through it, and he still continued to go. Right. Yeah, and so if his team lost, he's not going to make excuses and say, well, I was sick. That's it. He said, screw it. Can I still work? Yeah, I can still work. His doctor said, you could take a week off. He was like, Doc, you told me to work. There was a great NFL film show on ESPN2 the other day where they were talking about Ron Rivera. And I happened to watch it because I respect that man. He should probably have been the Giants coach, but they hired Gettleman, and obviously him and Gettleman didn't work out. And so he's not here. So that team is fighting hard 2 years in a row with a backup quarterback, mind you. Their quarterback is Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they're winning right now 500 ball with Tyler Heineke. Okay, I don't want to hear excuses about injuries. What I want to hear is results. Right? If Billy Price sucks, right, and you want to move guys up and down the line, well, I think Sakura played center as well. Why don't you move him to center and use Brad Betterson, the guy you traded for, on your line? Okay, there needs to be a shakeup on the offense. There's no shakeup. Everyone's, you got to give Joe Judge credit. No. Last year, 2020, we liked Joe Judge because he was no frills. If you stunk, he pulled you out. That's it. Bye. See you. Cam Brown, you want to make a stupid boneheaded play? You're out 3 plays. Now, what does he do? His punter shakes the punt, and who's he yelling at? Cam Brown? Give me a break. Give me a break.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
Like, where are you channeling your energy? And then he comes out and says, the conversation behind closed doors is different than the podium. Come out and have some fire. Come out and say something. The reason we love Bill Parcells is because he was a straight shooter, right? And of course, it was a different time, but he was a straight shooter. Jim Fossil, he put his coaching on the line. This team's going to the playoffs. We all know that speech, right? The year after that, they fired him a couple years later and got Tom Coughlin, who everybody hated because he was disciplinarian. And guess what? We still haven't found a coach to replace him because McAdoo had one style of offense, right? They couldn't score 30 points. They scored 28, just couldn't score 30, right? They drafted a guy the following year after they went to the playoffs, and Evan Ingram to be the seam buster or the cover 2 buster for his offense because he couldn't beat the cover 2. Cover 2 would stop his offense immensely. When they asked him how do you beat it, you got to beat it with seam routes. Guess what? They drafted Evan Ingram. Okay, so now in comes Gettleman at the end of the 2017 season after they fired Jerry Reese, who, by the way, everyone says the Giants aren't very diverse. Their GM was black for 10 years. Don't give me that stuff about Giants don't hire black executives or anything like that. Open your eyes. 2007 to 2017, there was a black GM running the show. And I'm not trying to get racist in here. I'm just tired of people telling me on TV that they don't hire black execs or anything like that. Give me a break. Open your eyes. Okay. Then they hired Gettleman, who was the second choice to Ernie Accorsi when they were picking GMs back in the day. So of course they wanted to double back. So they got Gettleman. Gettleman brought in Antoine Bethea, Kareem Martin, Patrick Omame. All these bums that didn't work out, that aren't even here, that ate up salary cap. Oh, well, John Mara said that. Even Carl Beck said, your owner gave you the resources to bring in the players, and you brought in the players, and they stink. Who's that on? Who's that? We could have Corey Davis. We could have kept Dalvin Tomlinson. We didn't. We cut Dalvin Tomlinson and Spencer Pulley. By the way, Spencer Pulley's the center, okay, who was already on your team, who you could have signed for cheap, and you wouldn't have had to trade for Billy Price.
On a discount, yeah.
And you would have had B.J. Hill. Maybe I don't know if that changes anything.
He was young too. That's the thing too. He may not have been the not even close to good. When I don't want to be rude, but he could have still developed him and just give him away. You know what I'm saying? In a sense,
right. Yeah. And we gave him away for Billy Price, a guy that we are definitely not signing next year to anything other than a veteran minimum contract if they decide to bring him back. Okay, so your offensive lineman, who by the way retired in July. Okay, we're not like that. It's not like they retired, in September. They retired in July. They couldn't handle the rigorous training camps, and you didn't do anything to replace them until 3 weeks later. Till you said we're going to wait down until cut down day. So then you bring in Billy Price because you had Nick Gates starting, right? Nick Gates unfortunately has a horrific injury, and then you start Billy Price, who can't block anybody. But because Nate Solder's so bad, it covers up for the fact that Billy Price is terrible. So then, if so facto, why the heck is Nate Solder still playing? If this is I'll tell you what's a fireable offense. You want to know what's fireable offense? If next week against the Chargers, Nate Solder is starting, Judge's got to go. I don't care who is in there. Put in Corey Cunningham and give him a chance. Put in Matt Pert and give him a chance. You won't know what Matt Pert is unless you give the kid a chance. How do you not give a guy a chance to a third-round pick that you drafted in-house? Nate Solder's not an in-house draft pick. Nate Solder's an outsider, right? According to football, he was a free agent. You didn't groom in your system. He wasn't there. So you're going to give an outsider who's not going to be here next year burn for the next 5 games to prove what? You're not winning anything. Season's over. Season was long over. But of course, we're Giant fans. We're still in the hunt, guys. We're still in the hunt. Yeah. And that fool's gold game against the Eagles, who, by the way, put in another quarterback and changed their whole dynamic, and now they're really. You think December 26th is not going to be is going to be an easy game? Listen to the last 5 games the Giants have: L.A., Dallas, Chicago, Washington, and the Eagles. There's only one game in there that we can say, oh well, the Giants are going to be favored, and that's Chicago. So my point is that a lot is wrong with this team. Not just Joe Judge, not just anything, not just GM. You can blame the owner all you want, but the GM had a hand in this. Okay, people act like the GM doesn't go to Joe Judge and say, "Hey, this is the list of players we got. Do you want to go after Galladay?" He goes to the owner saying, "Hey, we need to go after Galladay. Can I open the purse strings and get Galladay?" And the owner said, "Yes." They went out and got Galladay, a receiver that was injured, and they tried to spin it like, "Well, he's not going to be injured on our team." So I'm just tired of this team. I'm tired of Joe Judge not coming through with what he says. He's like, "We're going to punch you in the nose for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Just tired.
And it is. And it's like Gettleman comes out with the speech quite a few seasons ago saying about we have this much money. I want to take at least this much money into the season because you never know what's going to happen. All right. And then look at this season. We entered this season with barely any salary. If that, and then you see early on against the Falcons, our line problems. Obviously, we have Nick Gates that goes out in the Redskins game. So that causes problems. And what I don't like is you guys have 11 picks. This is week 3, week 4. You guys have 11 picks available in next year's draft. Why the fuck are we going after practice squad members when we physically have the arsenal? There's not – I get it. Offensive line, we may not have salary for Quentin Nelson and we may not be able to get that kind of – but I guarantee you there's an offensive line that could have gone for a 3rd or a 2nd draft pick that could have benefited that we could have paid. You know what I'm saying? That was maybe a developed player or a player – there's so much teams around this league that has players that's in developed that doesn't get a story because there's veterans on the roster that deserves a story.
Let's get into that.
That's way better than what we have on this team. So where is the urgency to save the season in week 3 or 4? There's no urgency to save the season.
Right.
It just seems like let's play it better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. I see this. I see positives. But guess what, Judge? It's now a week. I don't even know it because it's sad. I don't even know what week it is because
Week 13.
Well, it's week 13, and the Giants are out. We've been eliminated since week 8, realistically. You know what I'm saying? Without all this fantasy going to the playoffs with the team we had here. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's week 13 now, and
let's get into the draft capital.
What are we doing?
Let's get into the draft capital for a minute, because people.
What did we really do to save the season, Adam? You know what I'm saying? I'll let you get into it.
We could have saved the season a while ago. We didn't. But here's my thing about draft capital, right? Because I heard people complain when Gettleman traded a 3rd round pick for Leonard Williams and all those guys, right? You act like a draft pick is a surefire thing. No, if you don't draft the right player, that 3rd round pick is nothing.
Exactly.
Okay? And so I hear people are like
in the NFL history of the draft. I'm sorry, continue.
Right. When I hear people say, "Oh, well, you're giving away a 3rd round pick for a guy who's proven," why wouldn't I want to do that? Why wouldn't I want a guy who already is in the NFL, has already played, and is already Zion's right. If you wanted to get a center, you need to give up some capital to get one, right? So if you just let me ask you this. If a 2nd round pick was all it needed to get, and Quentin Nelson's worth more than a 2nd round pick, but let's say he was available for a 2nd round pick just for this exercise right here. You don't just say, "Oh, well, we're going to wait next year to get that pick." No, you do it because you already got a bona fide stud on that team that playing. You traded a 4th round pick to Baltimore because Baltimore acquired Kevin Zeitler from you because we decided to cut him because I don't know. We thought we thought Shane Lemieux was better than him, or whoever Will Hernandez, whoever they replaced him with, was better than that. Great idea, Gettleman. So you go after a guy and then he doesn't even start after he gets injured. It's like you waste valuable assets to go get a guy who you don't even play. So my point is, I don't want to hear anything about draft picks because everyone's like, "Oh, well, we're going to get this draft pick." You know what the bust rate of draft picks is? It's 50% in the 1st round. 50% of 1st round picks are busts, okay? You just don't want to be on that other 50%, all right? And then when you go down the list and you get 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, it's even worse percentage of hit rates. Now, I'm going to go and say something that's going to blow your mind because guess what? The Washington Redskins offensive line, they have 2 guys on that line that were drafted. One was drafted in-house, Brandon Scherff. The other was drafted by the Giants playing guard, Eric Flowers. Those are the only 2 guys on their line that are even picked in the 1st round. Everyone is 4th round or lower. So what does that tell you? That tells you that their scouting department has a better plan of bringing guys. They let Morgan Moses go. They let Trent Williams go. They had bona fide Trent Williams, damn near a Hall of Famer. Morgan Moses played
a Hall of Famer. I'll put Trent Williams at Hall of Fame stats.
Right. Yeah. They let him go to bring in for Ryan Fitzpatrick to here we go. Here you go, Ryan. This is the line you'd be behind. Got injured, obviously, and here they are. The thing is about the Giants is they're so dysfunctional. Their offense is so stagnant that they're wasting good defense and they don't have great game plans. They don't adjust on the fly the way we want. The reason why Belichick, I guarantee you Belichick looked at the weather report and said, here's game plan B if game plan A doesn't work. Game plan A is what we're going to go in with. If it's windy and rainy, we're going to go with game plan B. Okay? They went in there with game plan A. They saw that Matt couldn't throw. They said, let's go to game plan B.
And real fast, too, it's kind of like props to it made me I get it why people would not like Brady and would not like Belichick because of the winning culture and because the tired of them winning. But it just made me respect Belichick even more Monday night just because of the fact that Mac Jones is like literally like, come on, coach. And Belichick's nah, bro, we wanted this. And I love that because it takes so much patience. Not much NFL coaches will be able to just commit to the running game like that and really just commit. And when you see the outline and the box score of that game and the stat score, I was just like, wow, they really ran the ball on them all night. And that was if you want a ball on a team and you beat a team like that, and Buffalo has a way more talented roster than the Patriots, but that was a message to Buffalo, and that's a physically they beat them down literally. The 2 safeties was like, what the F? You know what I'm saying? Embarrassed.
Well, the thing about it is Belichick went in there and he did what he had to do to win the football game. And you know what's funny is he saw Tom Brady win and he couldn't win last year, so he geared up and said, "Y'all thought it was just Brady? I'm gonna show you that I'm still the best coach in the NFL." Okay,
leading the AFC.
Right, they're the top dog right now. The top dog. That's right. They're not Kansas City. Right now, the Foxborough is where you're going to go to get your ring. Okay, and I don't want to play in Foxborough in January. That place is cold. Okay, and they're loud. So just trying to stick strictly to the Giants. They got a lot to do. I know people want to keep Judge because of continuity. I don't care if Judge goes or not, because right now he does too many dumb things that other coaches got fired for dumb things. Pat Shermer got fired because he didn't want to go for it on 4th and 2 and called dumb timeouts. Guess what? Joe Judge does the same damn shit. He doesn't go for it on 4th. You're 4-7.
It's like what truly
56-yard field goal on 4th and 2.
Yeah, there's no urgency. It's like he's truly playing to evaluate the players. It's like, are you playing to win the game, or are you really playing to evaluate your fucking players? Because we need to win this game, bro. Like, there's still a chance. Like, where's the urgency to win the game? And there's no urgency to win the Dolphins game. It's like he's playing a scrimmage.
My thing that I hate is, like, I see Joe Judge standing on the sideline, and he's looking around, talking to his headset. What are you talking about? Your dinner order later on that night? Like, hey, we're gonna order the cheeseburger, guys. Go out there and win one. Like, give me a break. Do so. Yeah. Jason Garrett used to look at the tablet. You know, I like some coaches like Belichick and others because they adjust on the fly. They don't just sit there and wait to make halftime adjustments. You know what Spagnuolo did? Case in point, Spagnuolo in that Super Bowl came over and they ran an A-gap blitz in the week 17. They ran it with Antonio Pierce. He goes over there and said, "We're going to run that same A-gap blitz. However, it's going to be opposite now. We're going to flip it. We're going to flip Kavik Mitchell is going to be the blitzer, and Antonio Pierce is going to drop in the coverage." So what happened when they gave him that pre-snap look? Antonio Pierce ran up, took a step forward. Kavik Mitchell took a step back. The line said, "Up, we know what's coming." They shaded their protection to the right. Come from the left side. There goes Kavik Mitchell, and there's a sack. Yeah. Why? Because the coach made an adjustment in game. He didn't just sit there and wait. Okay, I saw Joe Judge trying to do that, but obviously the message is not getting home. This team is not disciplined. They don't know how to deal with prosperity, right? When they do something good, what happens? They shoot themselves in the foot. Penalties, reverse plays that go for negative 12 yards, running back getting stopped in the backfield. Like, this team needs a cleansing from top to bottom. And if you're going to come in here next year, because I'm not even going to throw in scenarios that he gets fired, because I'm tired of arguing with Giant fans. It feels like we argue about nothing. We should be passionate fans and angry about everything, and everyone should go. But we're trying to, let's keep this guy, and let's keep that guy. No, there's like 3 guys on this team I would keep. And Andrew Thomas, McKinney, okay, and who's the new Azeez Ojulari, right? Those are 3 guys that I would keep on this team. Guess what? They're all draft picks, okay? All draft picks, and all playing above their means. This is why Daniel Jones needs to be evaluated, because McKinney, who's a second-round pick, has improved tremendously since year 1. Andrew Thomas, who mad people thought were a bust, they were comparing him to Eric Flowers, Part 2, is now being considered for the Pro Bowl. And we're still sitting here with Daniel Jones 3 years later wondering if he's still the guy. This is what I'm talking about. This is evaluation. Joe Judge needs more of a handle on this team, because I'm tired of all the excuses. I don't want to hear on the podium if they get shellacked on Sunday against LA. Oh, well, I see positives. One positive, Joe, you're going to be 4-9. Your record right now is 10 wins over 2 years. McAdoo had 11-1 season, and he got fired. 2 seasons with Shermer, we still can't match the win total of McAdoo, who has 14 wins.
That's crazy, huh?
13 wins. Think about that.
That's true, dude. That's just crazy to think about. You know what I'm saying? And the rapid speed that we're going through these coaches, like, keep them on one more year, but like, Giants fans will say keep them on one more year. I won't be opposed to it, but at the end of the day, it's just, I don't like the guy no more. Like I just don't feel his energy no more.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this question. This is a legit question. You've had jobs in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Right? If you didn't work out at a job, right, and you're messing up and doing stuff, do they keep you around or they fire you?
They let you go.
Right? They don't just say, "Hey, Zion's a nice guy. Let's run it back because we know he's going to change his stripes." No, you get fired. It's a result. This is the only business in the entire industry that is results oriented. It's like sales, right? If you're a salesman and you sell no cars on the lot,
numbers. Yeah.
Guess what? They're going to kick you out. They're going to, oh, well, you know what? Adam was a nice guy. He's been with the company this long. Great. He hasn't sold a car in 3 months.
We love the jokes and the spirit you bring into the building. So we're going to keep you on for that.
Right. Yeah. We're still going to keep you on the payroll. But
how much money are you making us, really? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so we sit here and we act like these guys have forever jobs. Like, oh, no, they can't be fired. You know, Gettleman, and he's a nice guy. Let's keep him around. You know, he's kind of funny. The media hates him. He comes out and thinks he's smarter than everybody else. But we're not talking about Gettleman right now. We're talking about John. If you don't perform in the NFL, you get fired. That's what happens, okay? And you want to keep a guy around who hasn't proven anything, right, has regressed in season 2. You're supposed to progress in season 2, and we are regressing. And we want to sit here and say, let's bring everybody back, kumbaya and rainbows. That's what's leading us to failures. I know people don't want to rebuild, but guess what happens, right? Perfect scenario. Look at the Jets. They brought in Adam Gase's guy, Joe Douglas. Adam Gase fails. What happens? Joe Douglas is left. He now hires Robert Saleh. Now, if Robert Saleh sucks, there goes Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. The point I'm trying to make is if a guy comes in and he's tied to your guy, do I really want that? I don't care who I am. Do I want to be tied to Joe Judge and his future, or do I want my guy? Because guess what's going to happen next year? If Joe Judge is failing, right, and he doesn't have a backup quarterback to lean on to switch if Daniel Jones is struggling, what's he going to do? He's going to be like, well, I didn't get a fair shake. I had to inherit Daniel Jones. I should get my, I should get my quarterback and blah, 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 right? So what happens next year if the Giants go 0-4 and then all of a sudden they go on a win streak with a new quarterback, right? And they happen to miss the playoffs and you want to bring Joe Judge back for one more season because you saw improvement. What's he going to do at that point, right? Are you going to keep Daniel Jones at that? My point is you're not married to a guy. And what if the new GM, because there will be a new GM, people, says, I don't like Joe Judge. He's not my guy. Like if I'm the new GM, I'm interviewing Joe Judge for his own job because I want to make sure that I am doing my due diligence, not just saying, hey, John Mara says you're good. Great. High five. No, I'm going to say, John, I'm going to take it from here. Let me interview Joe, bring him into a room. He doesn't even need to put a suit on, and you can just have a talk and conversation with him. And if you decide after that conversation, there's the door, get out. That should be it. Right? We're Giant fans. Everyone's saying, well, we need to draft and build for a better team and a better future for the next guy. Why build for the next guy? Why don't you build for the guy that's here? Right? Why don't you just build a good team? Because guess what? Teams have done this for years. They build, and all of a sudden they start to win and they just trade for a quarterback. I mean, the Giants did it. Case in point. Giants had no quarterback in 1997, 98. And then in 99, they traded or signed Kerry Collins, who was with the Carolina Panthers and had some drinking issues and said the things he shouldn't have said to another player that was racist and stuff and, not good stuff. They brought him in. Guess what he did in 2000? Brought that team to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but there are guys out there. Mariota.
Lost to the Ravens, huh?
Right. Yeah, lost to the Ravens, which don't get me started on that game.
I just wanted to make sure that was the Super Bowl. Continue, though.
But the point is, Kerry Collins was brought in. They gave him a chance. There are guys out there that you can get. If you really want a guy, the Carolina Panthers traded for Sam Darnold. Why not say, hey, to the Raiders, I'll give you a second-round pick? Because guess what? The Giants' second-round pick in this year's draft is going to be pretty high anyways. And David Carr was a second-round pick, or Derek Carr, excuse me. Trade for him. There are ways to upgrade this team without having the mortgage the future.
Well, I don't even think. Well, I get your point. I don't think Oakland will just let him go for a second round, even though he's not that. I get your point though. Like a Marcus Mariota, Yeah,
one
Marcus
first round.
Mariota, you know?
One first, yeah. Mariota comes loose,
Someone,
get him.
you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
look at Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's been on to so many teams. Everybody brings him in to compete as a backup. He ends up winning the starting job. Why?
Yep.
Because people don't. The problem with the Giants that I have is they're soft, and it starts with their owner. And the reason they're soft is because every quarterback we get, we have to handle with delicate gloves. We can't hurt their feelings. We can't talk badly about them. Meanwhile, everybody, minus probably me, hated the pick of Daniel Jones. They were like, what are you doing with this guy at number 6? He should have been picked at 17. Blah, blah, blah. Gentlemen, what are you doing? You bought this bum?
It was the who comment. You know what I'm saying? That who comment you see?
Exactly.
That who?
Who's that? Who?
Yeah.
Daniel. Who?
Yeah.
Right? Even he got booed at Giants Stadium before he even played a game. He was booed at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
So all these people
video of them booing him, yeah.
All these people who now have a love affair, let's keep him around again. Really? And then I hear, this is what I also hear. These quarterbacks are bums. How do you know? How do you know that they're bums? They said that about Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. So
well,
I did.
Not to use the word bums, I get what you're saying. But I do believe that people just say bums because that's just a word that comes to them fast. But I think a lot of people look at this quarterback draft as not the strongest draft pack. Weak. Weak would be a better word, but sometimes people, when they're talking and they just want to make their point across, they'll say, oh, this quarter, they'll use a certain word that comes off a little bit off. But at the end of the day, like, I'll let you continue though.
Here's my point, right? Kyle the Pickett kid from Pitt, right? A few weeks ago, wasn't on the radar that much. Guess what now? Draft evaluators are saying he's going to go top 5. Okay, and Pickett, who people hated, he does one okey doke, and now he's in the top 5 of a draft. My point is, the hype machine hasn't started yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? The hype machine hasn't started yet. Last year's was a weak class.
All these reporters get their hands on these quarterbacks and all these topics that they're going to write about them, and all these, they're going to be hyped up for shit.
Case in point was last year, they said, don't draft a quarterback this year. They're all weak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Now we have 5 quarterbacks going in the first round. The same quarterback class that they told me is weak now, they said, wait till next year. You're going to have Spencer Rattler. You're going to have Sam Howell. You're going to have the Carroll kid from Ole Miss. And all of a sudden now in one season, they're trash or they're weak. No. You know why? It's because nobody knows, because you don't have enough time to sit around and watch every college football game, because your eyes would bleed out of your head if you did that.